Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited about this video. So I have always kind of struggled with trying to figure out what I should be ranking my books at. I feel, a high book scorer because I go by my gut reaction, and sometimes I think I give books way too much credit and I rank them higher than they actually really need to be. So I kind of tried to figure out a mathematical way to help me figure out what a book should be ranked on a 1 to 5 star scale. And I was in Notion because I use Notion for tracking the books that I read, my bookshelf, what my plans are in my YouTube calendar. I do everything in Notion for the most part. And so I wanted to have, because I already track my books in Notion, I wanted to have something in Notion that would help me identify what the book ranking would be. So I created a book ranking template, and we're going to be kind of talking about what I did, how I'm using it, and kind of the different things that I'm doing within this template. So looking at Notion, this is my blank template. I'll show you my July template as soon as we get finished kind of going over what it does, and then we'll look at the actual what my current July rankings look like, so that way you can see what it could be. So I have on here kind of my weighting. So I have 3 characteristics that I am scoring. I have the characters, what I thought about the characters. I have the plot. That's kind of self-explanatory. And then I have vibe. Now, I am a mood reader. I am definitely someone who likes the vibes of the books more than the plot. Like, if the book is making me laugh, it's making me giggle, it's making me cry, it's making me feel something, even if the plot isn't all there, it's usually a book that I enjoy. I also am not a reader who looks at the sentence structure or the lyricalness of the sentences and the descriptions of it being so whatever. I am not one of those people. I couldn't even tell you a sentence structure even if I wanted to. I've never really enjoyed English or language arts or anything like that. So I am not someone who looks at, dissects into the words. I'm here for a good time when I'm reading a book. So I have different weightings. So I'm not going to say that the plot of the book is equal of importance to the vibe. They are not equal. So for me, I have on a 100% rating scale, I say that characters, I have to like the characters. I'm going to give that a 40% weight, and you'll see kind of how this plays out in my examples. So characters, I weight them at 40%. Plot, I weight at 20%. And then vibe, I weight at 40. So I have an equal importance to the characters and the vibe. If those are good, it's probably a good book. Plot doesn't need to be there, but if it's there, that's great. But that is kind of my overarching characteristics and my weighting. So this is what my template is built at. I do have on this template that if you want to update the weighting scale, I kind of give an idea of how I kind of explain how you would do that, because some people might think vibes aren't all that important, and they might think plot and characters are more important. But regardless, it has to be on a 100% scale. You cannot have, your formula cannot be 50, 50, 20, because that's 120% and you can't be over 100. So just going to throw it out there. It has to equal 100. However you want to slice and dice it, 100 is the max. So if you would like to change the formula, I do have kind of an example of how to do that. And I'll show that also. So let's dive into an example. So we're going to, on here, we'll just do book 1. I have the month, so you get to choose what month you read this in. And this comes into play in just a little bit because I have a calendar as well. And it also helps with like filtering and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to put down July. You have the date. So this is the start date and the end date. So for an example, we'll say that book 1 I read on, we'll do July the 1st, and I ended on July the 4th. Now we have the genres. These are my genres. You are more than welcome. If you decide to use this template, you can edit this property and add whatever you want, or you can rename things. I don't care. These are the books that I typically use the most, or these are the genres I usually use the most. So we'll just do dark romance. It's the one that's on top. And this is where now we have the character, the plot, and the vibe. So for characters, when you click on it, you have 0 is a DNF. 1 means for the characters, I just couldn't stand them. Don't know what it was. They got on my nerves. I couldn't stand reading them. It wasn't a DNF, but it was pretty darn close. 2 was okay-ish. Like, they weren't horrible, but they definitely weren't what I enjoyed reading. They were just kind of like type characters. 3 means I enjoyed them. They're like middle of the road. Didn't dislike them, didn't love them, but I didn't mind reading them. 4, really liked, really enjoyed reading them. There were some things that I didn't like about them, like their personality, or some things that kind of turned me off, but overall, I really liked them. And then a 5 is loved. You love them, or I love them. Like they were it. They were the characters. Loved everything about them. Loved their point of views. Loved their personalities. Loved how they reacted. Everything. So for book 1, we're just going to say that I really liked that character, or those characters, or whatever the case may be. Plot. So this was 0 DNF again. 1, I said, when will it end? Because this is, again, not a DNF, but it's really darn close. This was like I was forcing myself to try to read this book. 2, it was slightly boring. It was kind of like okay. It wasn't, wasn't great, but it was it wasn't something that I would recommend or be like, this is a great, this is great. So you might like it. You should read it. That's never going to be something that comes out of my mouth if I say it's slightly boring. 3, okay, middle of the road. Didn't like, didn't dislike, just an average book. 4, enjoyed, and 5 is loved. So kind of 4 and 5, you just got to figure out where you would fall. So we'll say that we enjoyed it. Now for the vibe, we have DNF again. 1, for the vibe, I did not enjoy. It was not enjoyable at all. 2 is had to keep rereading. Like you have those books where like you're not in it and you're not like in the story, like something is off and you just have to keep rereading the same thing over and over and over again. Something is it's just off. So that's 2. 3, it was okay. 4, had some laughs or cries, like you had some emotion. It was, it wasn't just, no emotion whatsoever, you just reading a book. You had some outwardly emotions to said book. And then 5 was you had an awesome time. Like you loved every minute of it. It was amazing, phenomenal. Like it was it. So we'll say for this book 1, we're going to say a 5. So we have, I really enjoyed the characters. I actually really enjoyed the plot, and the vibe was there. It was perfect. So in that instance, the formula for Notion says this book would be a 4.4. Now, this other column for rating, this is where I can choose to keep the Notion rating, or I can bump it up, I can bump it down. I can kind of take what the formula says and kind of figure out what I feel based off of that. So for book 1, we'll say this is actually, I'm going to say it's a 4.5. Still, the vibe was there, but the characters and the plot were just kind of lacking a little bit. It wasn't 5s. It wasn't a full 5-star. It was just it was really close. but just hasn't gotten, it just didn't get there. Now on the comments, you're going to see on my example, I have a problem of reading a book and then instantaneously forgetting the characters' names, what happened. I don't know what it is. I read the book and I will think it's a 5-star. Like, I will love every minute of it. I will love the characters. I'll love the plot. I'll love the vibe. I'll love everything. And as soon as I close that book and put it on my bookshelf, I'll forget. Don't know why. It happens. So I have a comment section. So if you want to type any comments on that book, you want to explain your justification for the 4.5 ranking, you can. It's just an extra little box that if you need it, then you have it there. So now we'll just do another book 2, or we'll do another book. So we'll do book 2. Again, July. And in this instance, we'll say we started this book on July the 7th, ended on the 9th. We're going to do another dark romance. In this instance, we're going to say for the characters, I loved the characters. For the plot, I'm going to say it was okay, but the vibe had an awesome time. So, and this is where you can see that characters and vibes are, because I rank them higher, I have more weight to those characteristics. You can see that by itself with a 3 for a plot already ranks it higher than a 4.45. Having a 5.35 ranks it at 4.6, and I can choose in this instance, maybe I say it's a 4.75 for whatever reason. And now we'll do the last book. We'll just do book 3. We'll do July, and then we'll say July the 17th. And I ended this book on the 28th. Nope, 17th through the 28th. We'll just do another dark romance. And in this instance, we're going to say that I'm going to do the same thing that I did here, but I'm going to have a 4.55. So the characters were okay. I really liked the characters. The plot was amazing, and the vibe was amazing. And that is, again, a 4.6. So you can kind of see how the weighting scale, depending on whether I rank characters or plots high, that has a direct impact on how high my score is. So, and maybe in that instance, this says it's a 4.6. I'm going to say it's a 4.5. I think it's actually a little bit lower because the characters were just kind of like something was off that I did not like. And so I wanted to downgrade it from a 4.6 to a 4.5. So it kind of gives you an idea of what ranges you should fall in. So now the other thing, so we have, this is the table. The other thing I do have is a reading calendar. And that's why these dates, I have a start and a stop date. Because one of the other things I really do like is seeing how long it takes me to read books. So if I click on the reading calendar, let me go back to July. You can see I read book 1 was from the 1st to the 4th, and then I went right into book 2, went from the 5th to I had a wrong date. Hold on. Something was off. 1 to 4. For some reason, these books are showing twice. I don't know why. Okay, well, I'll have to see. Something is weird with I'll have to fix this. I'll fix this before I put this out on Notion. My thought was, if you like this template, I'll make some little tweaks to it and then I'll throw it out on Notion so that way if you want to use it, you can. I might go ahead and do that anyways. I'll put the website or the location. I've never published to Notion before, so I don't quite know how it works, but I'll try to do that down in the description box. So if it's something that you want to try out, feel free. So I'll fix the reading calendar. I don't know why it's not wanting to pull correctly, but I'll fix it. So we also have on this main table, we have a filter. So if you want to see, July and August, you can choose the specific month. And then if you also are curious, if you just want to know what the ranking is, or if you just want to look at a specific genre, you can search for, that specific genre, or, if it's something that you would be interested in. If it's not, you don't have to use it. But what I also like about this is it will tell you the average. I want to do here. So for those 3 books, Notion says the average ranking of those 3 books is 4.53. My average ranking, my actual updated modified ranking, is a 4.58. So you can see I did increase the overall ranking slightly from what Notion had. So that's kind of what the template looks like. Now let's go to my actual Notion page, and we're going to scroll down to what the finalized template looks like. So this is for July. I didn't switch this over to August, but you can kind of see what my looks like. So we have all the different genres. I have all my characteristics, my formulas, and this is where my comments, I'll put down the characters in that book, and then kind of just little small things about the book to jog my memory. Primarily it's for when I do monthly wrap-ups, or if I just want to talk about a specific book, I have that information without having to jump back into the book and try to remember exactly what happened. I have it here. So we have all of this, and so these are all of the books that I read in the month of July, and you can see my average ranking. I did not include a DNF because if you do a 0, it's really going to throw off your formula. So if I add a 0, it goes to 3.625, but I didn't even finish this book, so I'm not counting it in my rankings. But I do have a DNF as to like why I DNF'd it. For the month of July, my average ranking was a 3.95. Now, if we go back up to the calendar, this is what it actually looks like. So this is July, so you can see I read 2 Twisted Crowns, Not in Love, and then also I finished Not in Love on Saturday, and I immediately picked up How Does It Feel? Same thing with Summer Romance. I finished Summer Romance, immediately started Her Soul to Take, and then I went back and forth between Her Soul to Take and Reckless. Took a little bit longer for me to read. It took actually about 2 weeks to read that book. And then it kind of gives you an idea of where I was. So you can see in this month, I did not read anything on the 3rd. I probably did read a couple of pages. I didn't mention, or I didn't plug it in. And then I didn't read anything on the 31st. So I like the calendar just because I get to kind of visually see what I read and how many days I read during the month. So, but that is my Notion. Let me actually, before we wrap up, let me go to the formula. So if you don't like my rankings, if you have more importance on plot, or you want to have more of an even scale to your rankings, if you would like to use this, the way you would fix that is you would click on formula, you would go to edit property, and then you would go over here to edit under the formula section, and it's going to pop up here. So I already have the formula, so it's looking at characters, taking 40%, then it's taking vibe times 40%, plot times 20%. So say you want to change characters to 30%, you want to change vibe, or you want to keep vibe at 50%. Actually, we'll do vibe as 50, so that's 30, 80, and 20. And if you say done, now it's going to change your overall formula. So if your 40-20-40 vibe or formula does not work for you, then it's really easy to change the weighting scale. You just go into here. Actually, this is supposed to be 40. And change the numbers from 40, 40, 20 to whatever the case may be, as long as it equals 100. That is the key. If it does not equal 100, your scores are going to be all over the place. But with that's my book rating template that I have in Notion. Like I said, I'll correct the reading calendar on this template, and I will upload it to, or I'll publish it to Notion as a free template. So if you would like it, if you would like to use the template, I'll put it down in the description box down below, so that way you can find the link or the name to search for, because it's, you know, it's something I really enjoy. It's something that has definitely benefited me when it comes to trying to figure out what to rank my books. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you do so. Also, if you have any other suggestions for videos, or if there's any kind of reading topic or tag or anything that you would like me to do a video on, definitely drop it down below. Put me a comment and let me know, and I'll see about trying to make that video in the future. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see everybody in my next video. Bye.